This is Angie with St. Louis Music Press, and I'm talking to Zach of Whitechapel. He's actually here in St. Louis today on the Mayhem Fest at Verizon Wireless. Zach, how's your day going today?
Good so far. It's actually been one of the cooler days in the past few shows because it's cloudy, but it's not raining, and it's just not blistering hot out, so it's pretty nice.
Yeah, you guys really lucked out. We had like a heat streak that's lasted, I don't know when we've had rain or temperatures under 100, so it's a great day for everybody to be out and enjoying music.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, the past, 5 shows have been, 100 and over 100 degrees and sunny and humid, so it's been pretty exciting when it comes to the heat, I guess.
So how is the Mayhem tour in general so far?
It's, Mayhem's like, the tour of all tours, in the summertime, so it's we did it in '09, it was awesome then, and we're doing it again, and it's just good, so it's amazing out here with some of these bands on the road.
Yeah, there's really some legends out there with you.
Oh yeah, absolutely, because, the first year we did it with Slayer, and that was just, that was amazing, and then we're doing it again, which is even better, just say we did it twice in our lives, and then, obviously Slipknot headlining, which is a dream come true for all of us, and get to, Motorhead and Anthrax, yeah, man, like lots of legends, so it's pretty awesome.
I wanted to ask you about your newer album that came out this year, your self-titled album. You have worked with Mark Lewis on that, is that correct?
Correct, yes, ma'am.
What was the recording process like with that? Did you, was there anything notable about it that you can say about that experience?
Well, we're always rushed for time when it comes to write the record. So, we never have a good amount of time. So we kind of expected that this time around. We prepared for it. We're always writing and recording riffs all the time on our own. So we had a big library to work from. So we just took a month to sit down and start piecing stuff together and getting skeleton structures of everything in pre-production. And, then once we got everything kind of locked down, kind of how we wanted to do it, we flew to Florida to record drums with Mark Lewis, and we've known Mark for a long time, because we did the last album with Audio Hammer as well, and we did drums down there. He knew the direction we were wanting to go, and he knew, we knew what he wanted with the record, so we vibed off each other really well. And then after we did the drums down there, we flew back up to back home to Knoxville and did the rest of the album at Alex's house and just recorded it there. And Mark drove up from Florida and brought a bunch of his stuff with him, and it was really easy going because we both knew what we wanted, and the record process was pretty smooth and turned out well. So
that sounds like a good chemistry then that you had.
Oh yeah.
I was watching recently your newer video for eye dementia, and that video, it has a simpleness to it, but the really strong visuals, with the saw blade and everything coming up from the bottom of the screen.
Well, that was kind of, it was kind of something different. We've always done different kinds, we've always done live performance videos and stuff, but it was kind of cool just to have something that was, different and, it went with the song a lot better. It fits the theme of the song a little better, I think. So, it was cool to do something different.
Yeah, I guess the message I got from that song is that it's kind of like about someone's internal struggle, like with their own mind.
Oh yeah, that's the vibe of it anyway.
Do you pen any of the lyrics, or who in the band is responsible for like your lyric writing?
Mostly Phil, but we kind of throw in our 2 cents worth on stuff. Mostly Phil, like after we get song structures done and pretty nailed down, he'll start writing, what the song kind of makes him feel, and then he kind of does it right then and there because that's the way he's always done it. So he'll write like before he does vocals, he'll be sitting there with we have a rough, pre-production tracks. He'll sit there and write lyrics to those, and then obviously it'll change from when he actually goes to record it, and some days will still change and everything. But yeah, that's mostly Phil though.
Who would you say is your typical fan? What is the age? What is the demographic of the typical person that likes Whitechapel?
Well, used to I would say it was younger kids. I don't know, 14 to 18, back when we first started. But nowadays it's grown a lot because we see we see 15-year-olds come through the line for signings, and we see 40-year-olds coming through, and we, you know, it's gotten bigger and bigger as time went on. So I'd say now it's gone for, you know, the demographic's grown. So I mean, like I'd say from now it's just like, you know, 15-year-olds and 40-year-olds. So
yeah, that seems typical of Mayhem and also the genre in general. It seems like heavier music is just getting a resurgence with young people almost more than ever, maybe?
Well, I mean, it's always, honestly, heavy music. It just depends on what you define as heavy music. But, I mean, yeah, when I was 14, if you consider Metallica heavy, I was listening to them. So, I mean, I was a big fan of them when I was that young. So, I don't think it's exactly having a resurgence with young people. I think it's, I honestly think it's always been there. It just depends on if they get to it or not. And I think it's easier for younger kids to get their hands on it nowadays than it was, you know, 20 years ago because of the internet. But, I mean, you know, it's not necessarily a bad thing. The internet kind of hurts record sales a whole lot, but I mean, at least you're getting your music out there, especially overseas and everything. So.
Oh, that was something that I was going to ask that you mentioned about how do you feel the internet and the downloading and all of this newer, more recent technology. Do you feel that that has helped you, or do you feel that it has hurt the band in some way?
Well, I think it definitely got the band out there to begin with. You know, a long time ago. Was getting into the internet, and that's great because I mean, even when I was really young, I found bands that I would have never found, you know, had it not been on the internet. I'd find like, you know, random MP3 of them somewhere on a website, and then I would go buy the CD because I would like it so much. So then I'd be a fan of that. I mean, that's how I did when I was younger. Of course, nowadays, you know, it's just like, oh, you hear this one song, it's like, oh, I'll just go download it for free from some website. So I mean, yeah, it kind of sucks because at least it's getting out there. You know, I'm glad people are digging the music, and there's still people into music, but you know, it's a catch-33. You know, you get more people to like it, but you know, you can't really depend on record sales like labels used to back in the day. So,
another thing that I guess that, of course, all lyrics are open to interpretation. I'm kind of assuming, based on your name, that a lot of your song lyrics have kind of like a Jack the Ripper kind of slant to them, or you know, something. Some songs maybe seem to connote something maybe historical or like a story.
Well, I mean, the older, our first album was, you know, literally based off, you know, Through the Eyes of Jack the Ripper, because that was the whole theme of the album. You know, it was that's what the songs were about, and obviously where the name came from. You know, that district in London. And as the album goes on, I mean, no, the songs aren't really more about Jack the Ripper. It's more just that every song's kind of taking its own form on the later albums. On the most recent album, it's, you know, no song, there's no theme. Like every song takes its own form. So, you know, we've got to kind of gotten farther and farther away from that. So,
has your band ever had issues with any of your songs being misinterpreted, or any issues with censors or parents? For example, there's a song about some type of asphyxiation.
Yeah.
I mean, have you had any confrontations or issues in regard to those types of themes or lyrics?
We've always had problems with that. You know, people, you know, there's even a recent video on the internet about how, you know, Whitechapel's part of the Satanic Illuminati and all this crap. It was this big, you know, super Christian organization that made a big video about death metal bands being mind-controlling bands, and like it causes kids to experiment with drugs and experiment with promiscuity, even bisexually and all this shit. And it was actually, you know, just really funny to watch because they didn't know what the hell they were talking about. You know, they're the kind of Christians that give good Christians a bad name. But besides that, yeah, everything's misinterpreted half the time. You know, and the easiest way I can ever put it is it's like a horror movie. It's a theme. You know, people want to experience you know, the craziness that's in a horror movie, you know, on screen, and they want to experience to be sucked in by it because that's part of human nature. That's a side of it that they never ever will experience if they're lucky. You know, God forbid they get murdered or something like that. But I mean, that's just the part that's why people are captivated by it. And it's the same idea with us. It's just, you know, it's pushing the boundaries of the human senses when it comes to like the lyrics and you know, really just pushing the envelope. And that's kind of the idea. It's just a theme. It's just like a movie. We don't really believe it. You know, we're not all about it. I mean, we all do like horror movies and stuff, but I mean, who does it nowadays? So I mean, yeah, that's the idea. But yeah, we've always had problems. But if people met us and knew us, they would know we're not bad people, obviously.
Well, definitely, like you mentioned with the horror movies, fear and horror. There is a certain sensation that people get from a movie or a story. I mean, there are not many happy things that people go to see that are award-winning dramas. Usually there's a struggle or some type of offensive element that definitely gets your attention. And your music definitely, I mean, it has the shock value to it. Maybe I'm looking at it from the opinion of a woman, maybe different than like a male fan, but definitely there is a.
Well, I mean, I can understand that. I can understand that first album being kind of offensive to women, especially the one thing I really respect is like people talking about how like, oh, my girlfriend got raped a little while back and all this shit, and we're just like, look, man, that's that's not what we're about. It's just literally, it's just like if you watch the movie From Hell, that's what you're doing when you're listening to our first album. It's it's just through the eyes of Jack the Ripper, and that's just I guess you could say is in a bad way to say we're glorifying it, I guess, in a way, but I mean that's it's not pointed towards anybody individually. It's not pointed towards being sexist toward women or anything like that. So yeah, it does have shock value, and I guess from a woman's point of view, I could see it being a little more offensive, and I don't mean that in a sexist way either, but that first album, I can understand that. So
yeah, do you think that there's an issue with your young listeners, misunderstanding that, or do you think they're all mostly understanding that it's a story?
When I was young, the way my parents handled it, just like they knew I was smart enough not to take it literally, and I feel like if you're a parent and your kids listen to this kind of music, you need to make sure and do what my parents did, like double check and just be like, hey, this is. These guys, they might be talking about some crazy stuff, but, that's not what they mean. That's not probably who they are. That's not, it's just part of the music. It's just part of a theme and everything. And that's why my parents always knew that that's the way I understood it. I just enjoyed it. I enjoyed interpreting the theme and interpreting the ideas behind it. And granted, I guess it molded me when I was younger as far as like who I was going to be when I got older, but I'm not. I don't have urge to kill people or anything like that. So yeah, it is worrisome. It is worrisome about kids and what our music does to them. But I think a lot of that has to do with parents too. They got to be on top of that.
Not to delve into anything too personal. I mean, I don't want to go anywhere that is too personal in your personal life. But I find that a lot of musicians come from families where their parents are really supportive as far as lessons and helping them and all that. Did you have that experience?
My parents, I mean, obviously when I was younger, and they pushed me to do things that I enjoyed. Just enjoy it and do it. That's what they always were. And so yeah, they supported me with guitar and music and everything. I started playing violin in 2nd grade and played that up through sophomore year in high school, and that's what opened up the door for me in guitar. And I played the guitar in 5th grade. They were supportive with that. Let me play and be loud in my room. Listen to metal and everything. And they there's some things at first they thought when I'm wearing like a Cannibal Corpse shirt when I was really young. They probably didn't approve of it right off the bat, but over time they understood and they were always supportive. And even when I was in bands that. Even when I was in bands that, weren't supportive, weren't like, doing anything at the time, like local bands and stuff, they still let me do it. And then, as time went on and I started kind of becoming an adult, as long as I was taking care of myself, they didn't give me crap for still trying the music thing. So, but obviously after it started kind of taking off, they were always supportive and they just supported it more, so.
So you started with violin. That was your first instrument.
Yes, ma'am, it was.
Wow. Well, that's definitely a new direction that you went in.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Did you feel like you were always a musical person from a young age? It sounds like maybe you were.
Well, yeah, because there was always pianos and guitars sitting around our house, so I always picked them up and plucked on them. The piano I could just bounce stuff out and, mess around with. And, so yeah, I was always kind of musical when I was young, for sure.
As far as the future of Whitechapel, what are your plans beyond the Mayhem tour as far as maybe other touring or music videos, etc., just anything that you guys may have in the works, if you could give us a little window into?
Well, in September and October, we're doing that Hate Breed tour in the States. And then after that, we go overseas with Devil Wears Prada and Bobby Friends Red for, I think, a little over a month. And then after that, some much needed time off because it's, Christmas time and family time. So, Yeah, but after we get back from Europe and have some time off, no, there's nothing planned as of yet. But there's always something in the works. I just can't really say much about it yet. So.
Well, can you tell us, or tell your fans specifically, if you could say something right to them that are listening right now, what message would you have for Whitechapel fans out there?
Well, obviously, thanks, for all your support, and everyone's digging the new album, even though it's a little different, but it's still Whitechapel. We're never going to stray that far off the path, and I think, if there really are people out there that are, giving you crap for what we're about and everything, just let them know we're, we're just like everyday people, man. We're not trying to, ruin anybody's life. We're just, we're making stuff that people enjoy, and that's all we're doing, so.